Basically, what you do is close your eyes. Now, you can be in hypnosis with your eyes open, and most people are walking around in hypnosis all day long with their eyes open. But for this exercise, keep your eyes closed and just focus on your breathing. And with every breath that you inhale, just feel a calmness coming into you. You can imagine this through a visualization, or you can imagine this as far as energy coming through you if you're more metaphysically oriented. And just imagine this coming through you and inside your body. And as soon as you feel a certain level of, let's say, more relaxation you did a second ago, simply say to yourself, next time I say the word, let's say in this case, I'll say 3. I'll say a number. Next time I say the number 3, I will reach this level of relaxation. And every time I do this, I go into this state much more deeply and much more quickly. Then open your eyes and say 3. And you may find nothing happens. So the first time you do this, you simply say, well, okay, I'll pretend it's happening, and start pretending that it's happening. As you do this a number of times, you find that pretense becomes fact for you, because the body is learning how to respond, the mind is learning how to respond, and the spirit is learning how to respond. And you'll find you'll be able to enhance that. But always give yourself a suggestion also for protection. Say, I only do this in a place that's perfectly safe. And I only do this, and every time I do this for a period of time. It could be a couple seconds, or it could be several minutes. And any time that an emergency arises, my eyes open up, and I deal with that emergency very quickly, very effortlessly, and very, very effectively.
It's not really stress that causes the problem. It's distress, which is actually stress in imbalance, excess stress. When we have excess stress, we're in distress. And that's where I, as a stress management consultant, begin to intervene in a person's life. Now, the ways in which I've done that are many. And the ways that are available to us today in the society, not only because of what we've come up with technologically here, but also from much borrowing from the East. The use of meditation, the use of Tai Chi Chuan, the use of Qi Kung, the use of yoga, the use of Ayurvedic medicine, of Chinese medicine, of acupuncture. All of these have now been, in a sense, borrowed and in some ways integrated and improved upon in the West, and are helping to create the mind-body paradigm, which we have been without based on the standard medical profession that we've all become so accustomed to. So we can use all of these different modalities, and we can begin to have physiological changes inside our bodies as a result of doing very, very simple procedures. In fact, what gets interesting, the more one begins to look into this whole subject, is that the simpler the procedure, the more effective it really is. Let me give you an example. If you just sit down comfortably in a chair, sort of like I am, and you simply close your eyes, at this moment, not even to rest, but just to become focused, start to notice your breathing pattern. Notice if you were breathing deeply or shallowly. Notice what part of your lungs are operating when you breathe. Now, if you notice that you're breathing shallowly, or perhaps not even breathing at all, try to deepen your breathing right now as I speak. Let it fill up your belly, which in Chinese medicine and the Chinese culture is considered the place of the center of one's entire physical being. Let it expand outward and feel what it's like to exhale consciously. Notice what happens inside your mind and your heart and your body while you do that. By simply slowing yourself down and changing your focus from external to internal, you begin to get aware of your own self. You start to become aware also of the different levels of tension that you may be experiencing inside yourself. You can notice the way muscles may be twitching in your arms, in your neck, in your shoulders, in your chest, in your pelvis, in your legs. And you may notice that once you become aware of it, it ceases. It's no longer there. So with this kind of cultivating of awareness of oneself, even putting meditation for the moment aside, through observation of yourself and through developing awareness, you can begin to deal with different layers, different levels of distress that we have become tremendously accustomed to in our society. Because our focus is so often external, with newspapers, with media, with television, and with all of the things that are grabbing our consciousness and squeezing us, demanding our attention, we have lost a real, genuine sense and knowledge of ourselves. And as far as I'm concerned, as a stress management consultant, I feel that bringing people back to this place, the place inside themselves of internal knowledge based on personal self-observation and developing awareness of one's own physical body, feelings, and thoughts is really the road toward creating health. You can use your own intelligence that's really there for you all the time, your innate intelligence, and begin to talk to yourself. We realize that we have neuroreceptors all over our entire body, in every single organ, in every single limb. They are not limited to the nervous system, they're not limited to the brain. So that means that we literally have intelligence everywhere. It's epidemic, this intelligence. So it's time now, at this point in the 1990s, to begin to use it. Because after all, no one is going to be taking care of ourselves like we will ourselves. No one will be doing that for us. So this is a major piece of how one can begin to deal with the subject of stress, and that what I really mean is distress, in their lives in a very practical and simple way.
Now when I'm stressed out, I'll sit and I'll meditate for an hour. When I first started doing this, I wasn't able to sit for a long period of time, but I remained consistent and I would sit every day, and the more I did it, the longer I could sit, the more calm my mind became. And now it's just very much a part of my life.
It's my opinion that in Western society, stress is a euphemism for emotion, or more specifically, unresolved emotion. The way to relieve stress is through the breath. Breathing is the gateway between the conscious and the unconscious mind. Let me explain that. Breathing is the only function of the body that we have conscious control over. We can breathe deeply or breathe shallow, but as soon as we stop thinking about our breath continues. Many people tend to inhibit their full inspiration. There are many different ways that you can keep yourself from breathing fully. Some people breathe primarily into the chest with very little movement in their stomach. Some people breathe primarily using their diaphragm, but they have tension across the front of their chest. And some people tend to hold the tension in their throat, restricting the air moving out. Creative Pathways is designed to release those patterns of holding in the breath. When this happens, we begin to experience not only a literal definition of inspiration, but a physical experience of inspiration. Our mind becomes clearer, we have more energy, our life becomes more joyful. Inspiration is the first step of the Creative Pathways. Inspiration brings us into our body. Inspiration begins to open the energy channels throughout the body. The second step of the creative process is incubation. Incubation is an unconscious state where you let go of the inspiration, you let go of the thought, let go of the idea. Going down into the unconscious, allowing that idea to develop. The third step of the creative process is stimulation. Stimulation is similar to inspiration, except stimulation is more physical, it's activity. Once you have inspiration, once you've allowed that idea to develop unconsciously, then you can bring it back into action